Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the final time to the BIPL, the British and Irish Professional League here in Trackmania 2020. Wow, that's a mouthful. My name is still Mattfish, by my side is still Yatta, and we're heading into our final match of Division 1 of the evening. 4 players, 3 maps, 100 points, reverse cut mode. Yatta, are you as ready as I am?
I am so ready. I was born ready. This is going to be a super exciting match. We have some very high-skilled players in this. Not saying that we didn't before, but the level of this match is something to behold. We've got a winner from first week in Whizzy, as well as 2 second-place competitors in Xephyr and JaffaPadawan. And then we've got Gibbonster as well, all of which are very fast drivers, all of which are very high-level competitors, and it'll be so exciting to see how they can all compete together on these maps.
Yeah, exactly, it's going to be very exciting indeed. Whizzy maybe being the favorite in the eyes of many, but we've seen that it's not just about raw speed, it's about bringing that speed to the track every single time you make one round on it. So even though Whizzy is coming in with a lot of high-level times and a lot of world records to boot on these tracks, it's not going to be plain sailing for him. I'm especially, though, interested in what our Wildcat can do. Gibbonster, what can he bring to the table? That is what we'll find out. No, we won't find out what Gibbo is going to bring to the table, because he is not present. He has a DNF, it appears, and we're just going to have the 3, Jaffa, Xephyr, and Whizzy.
Yeah, and coming into the first corner here, we've got Jaffa in last place with Xephyr. Oh, a mistake already from Jaffa. So up front, we've got just Xephyr and Whizzy with a 0.2 difference between them, but very different lines. You'd expect to see not much difference on the tech sections here. Both are very accomplished tech players. Whizzy and Xephyr, I would expect to be pretty close throughout this. Jaffa now taking over from Whizzy, and let's see what happens at the end.
Yeah, let's see what happens at the end there indeed. As I think we're ready. I think we're live. I think this is indeed a hot live round. It should be, but Whizzy here taking the lead. Jaffa and Xephyr very close together, but the Scotsman is going to take P2. Apparently, okay, we've just been told from our producer in the background, Sai, that this was not indeed live, because Gibbo is going to come in at some point. Hopefully he is in. And I don't know if he lost 12 points. I don't know really what the deal is right now.
We'll see if we restart.
We'll see if we restart or not. We are a bit unsure. Yeah,
it looks like we're restarting. There we go.
There we go. That's more like it.
I've never had a problem with restarting games as well, so we won't discuss that. If anyone remembers the IOC incident, we won't go into that.
What do you mean? What IOC incident? I was casting that, but it blanks my mind. Do refresh my memory on that one, Yatta.
Well, let's just say I'm going to call them server issues, and definitely not server manager issues. Let's put it like that. And it definitely didn't take 3 attempts.
Yeah, it definitely didn't take 3 attempts until we finally had a round going, and we thought every time that the server was restarted that we had a round going when the settings were still wrong. That's in the past.
That's very good memory for someone who didn't remember. Just say.
I don't remember what I said to upset you, possibly, but I do remember what happened.
Oh, no, I'm never upset. Don't worry about it.
That's good. That's good. I love that. Being able to take a joke. It's also what the players will have to do, because I think Whizzy is going to tell a few jokes, but the jokes won't necessarily be as funny. They will be more crushing in nature.
Very much so. It's going to be very good to see Whizzy here on the mainstream. Whizzy is obviously an incredibly high-level player in general, and it'll be very exciting just to see how quick his times can be and just how consistent he is compared to the others.
I mean, we can already see from this warm-up round, I think we're live now. From that warm-up round, he drove a 54.7 here on map number 1 on Topi by Roquette. We haven't seen a single 54 thus far, and he just broke it into with 2.5 tenths to spare.
Well, exactly, and that's 0.3 faster than anything that we've seen from any of the other competitors. And the other competitors as well are very high level, so it's not like he's competing against scrubs. But for this round, we can sort of take it through here. It's close at the top between Jaffa and Whizzy, and it now comes down to the ending.
It does indeed come down to the ending here. Xephyr still in the hunting position, but it is between the Scots. It is between Jaffa and Whizzy. Very close together with Whizzy with more speed coming into it. Jaffa and sliding out a little bit too much. Does he get the jump? He does, so he's not going to fail. He's going to secure P2, and behind him, Xephyr and Gibbo. But Whizzy, a 54.9 straight into the 54.
Yeah, it's very, very consistent as well. We've seen that in warm-up. We've seen that in the round that wasn't to be. And now we've seen that in the actual live round as well. So we'll start off this round, obviously, all 4 of them starting at the same time, which is a good sign. But moving into the first checkpoint here, Whizzy's actually a little bit behind. Is it a different line, or has he just got a little bit of a worse start? Looks to be about the same. So Gibbonster in 4th. Oh, and there is a mistake there. Was that from Chris? It looks like it was. So now there's 3 ahead.
3 ahead, and Chris trailing behind Gibbo and Jaffa being the closest. But Whizzy, he has such a different line through that banked corner. He's going very far, very high to just get more momentum at the exit. Good line from Whizzy. It consistently catapults him to the very top. He's now in P1, but Gibbo not far behind. Jaffa had a big crash. Gibbo and Whizzy, it's between those two, but no, the pole!
The pole indeed. Gibbon making a mistake, and now it's between Whizzy up front. What time are we looking at here? But Xephyr Chris actually clipped, still managed to make the jump, and it's actually not a particularly fast time. And close at the back here between Gibbon and Jaffa. Who'll make it? It looks to be Gibbon just about by 0.1.
Gibbon just there at the end, and the one time Whizzy didn't have a 54, he didn't need a 54 because, well, everyone else, frankly, had a bit of a mare in this round. 2 first place for Whizzy. Gibbo, though, struggling at the back, minus 16 after 2 rounds. Let's hope he can find his form here on this map on Topi.
Yep, and going into the start here again, it's all close up until this point. There is a difference here between them in the lines that they take. Whizzy with a more inside line, but there's a mistake there from Jaffa. He's now in 4th place, quite a bit behind. Whizzy still up in front with Xephyr Chris and Gibbon still close, but again, there's a much different line here from Whizzy, which takes him through with a lot of speed into the next tech section.
He just has the speed advantage going into the tech section and going into the dirt. Gibbo and Xephyr, though, P2 and P3 incredibly closely fought out between the 2 Brits. Xephyr, the more inside line, carrying more speed on exit as a result. Now onto the grass slide. Gibbo coming back into concert, back on 4th of the metronome. It is just going to be this last corner. Who will carry more speed? Who will carry more speed to the ending? It's Xephyr in front of Gibbo. It's going to be a close one, but Gibbo will close it out. But just within a 10th, though, these 2 are giving it nothing.
Super interesting at the end there to see the different lines that Gibbon and Xephyr Chris took. Gibbon was going more for outside for more speed, and Chris was going inside for a tighter line. And they looked to be about as quick as one another. Gibbon went in ahead and also came out ahead, but only by a small margin. So it'd be very interesting to see which of those 2 would be quicker.
Yeah, very interesting to see indeed. But Xephyr already having a slight bonk here at the beginning of this 4th and final round for the first visit of the Topi. So he's already in a hunting position, but doing rather well indeed. As Gibbo, actually, I didn't see it. Gibbo had a nightmare, though.
Yeah, he had a big mistake at the start of the round. He clipped coming out of the first checkpoint, and now he's nearly 2 seconds, maybe even more, in fact, significantly more behind. He's 4 seconds behind. He's basically out of this round unless there's a big mistake from the top 2. Chris as well is half a second behind, so this round should come down to Jaffa and Whizzy.
Does indeed. Jaffa and Whizzy incredibly close together. Let's see who gets the better line here. Jaffa going very close to the inside, going in for the ideal apex. Does he have the exit speed, though? Whizzy is still in front, and he will not be able to deny Whizzy the perfect round. 4 rounds here on Topi. 4 first places for Whizzy.
Yep, and another 55 flat. Still a really good rounds time. That's quicker than everybody else in the server's best time in the first week. By a significant margin, actually, by 0.2. So that's incredibly impressive from Whizzy. Kind of what we expected, to be honest. But it's really good to get to see him and what he can sort of bring at the top level on these maps.
Yeah, kind of what we expected, but at the same time, it's still daunting to see the level of dominance that Whizzy is able to display here. He seems to be just a cut above the rest. We know, of course, that he's quick, but we didn't know if he necessarily had the consistency. It shows that he definitely does have the consistency, at least on Topi. But now, of course, we must go to what is, on the evening, I think, my favorite map. We are going on Sharpen by Mime.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's the caster's favourite map, whether it's the player's favourite map with how difficult it's been. That's kind of tough to know. It'll be really good because on the last match we saw, it was so close. It was so close between all four of them. We saw some amazing times, and we even saw some really interesting sort of finishes in Div 2. So it'll be interesting to see how these players deal with this map.
It's going to be interesting to see, and also the sort of times that we're getting. We're saying like low 55 is probably going to be very, very good. It's going to be very close at the top. See, especially we just have to put some emphasis on it as well. That risky finish that everyone is going to take, it can deny you when you get a suboptimal exit of that last turn. You can be denied the risky finish, and it will catapult you straight from second to fourth, just as nobody. He's been there. He's done that.
Yeah, very much so. As well, it's risky, but if you make a mistake because you hit the finish, it's very difficult, and it's not guaranteed that you'll even be able to get to the safe finish. You might land on your roof, and that really is punishing. If you clip it and then still manage to get to the safe finish, you'll lose a bit of time. But this is the kind of thing that can catapult you from second place or first place down to fourth.
Yeah, that can happen very quickly as we go into the first live round here on Sharpen. And the field are very much bunched together, all within 0.2 of one another. Gibbo being in a P4 at the moment as we head to this plastic section. It's always weird to see plastic on maps like this because it feels like no players really mastered us thus far.
Oh, and there's a mistake there from Whizzy. That means the top two here, Jaffa and Xephyr Chris, are in with a good chance to make up points, to lose only one, and which of the two will make it? That's really close to the pole from Jaffa, but it gives him great exit speed and enough to get the risky finish. So it's a 1-2-3 from Jaffa, Chris, and Gibbon.
And Whizzy, does he finish? Yes, he does. 103, not good from him, losing 10 points, losing his winning streak as well. But I want to bring your eyes towards Jaffa, the Scotsman, into the 54s himself. Barely 2/1000th of a second, but still 54. That is a very, very good time, and that's a confidence instilling time as well.
Yeah, and that's better than he did during week one at any point. So it really shows that these players have been improving from week to week, and it'll be really interesting to see throughout the league how much they can improve and how much they can perfect these maps. Obviously, this being only the second week. That's a mistake from Gibbonster, and he's now down into fourth place.
Gibbo, unfortunate mistake there, but as you said, the players improving and the consistency as well. But Whizzy having problems here on Sharpen. He's falling, he's not just bunking once, he's bunking twice. He's now in a close fight with Gibbo, but at the top, it's Xephyr being able to edge out the gap, though, towards Jaffa. Half a second, the difference between the two. Whizzy and Gibbo are sort of apart by that same margin, so it's very much a battle for P1 between these two, Jaffa and Xephyr, and a battle of P3 between Whizzy and Gibbo.
Yep, and coming into the final corner here, it looks like Chris and Jaffa both have it well. Now Whizzy's coming in. Will he manage the risky finish? In fact, he was passed by Gibbon earlier in the map. I didn't see that happen. Well, that's Whizzy. That's 2 last places in a row. That's quite shocking, to be honest. He's won every other round apart from those two, but he's now only 1 point ahead of Xephyr Chris. Very
much an all-or-nothing player is Whizzy. From what we can see, on map 1 he had it all. On map 2 here on Sharpen he's got nothing. His consistency simply not there. He's got the pace, he's proven that in the warm-up, but you just can't bring it to the track when it matters. Maybe in this time around. Gibbo already had a small mistake. It's going to be a second behind, so out of contention unless some big mistakes happen in front of him. Xephyr, Jaffa and Whizzy top 3.
Yeah, it's actually very surprising. I would have expected a bit more from Whizzy in terms of consistency, but in this round he has been nothing but consistent. There is still a top 3 here. Zephyr's slightly behind, but Jaffa and Whizzy are right on top of one another. It'll be really close coming down to the finish here. They're coming into the last tech section, the transition onto the road, and let's see what happens from here.
Oh, the sausage has caught Whizzy out yet again! Whizzy, the sausage denies, and he's again in last place. Xephyr and Jaffa, that should be a rather processional finish. Yeah, neither of them bonking. Gibbo just needs to get the risky fin. Does he get it? He does, and Whizzy continues his streak. Is now mudded, deep in the mud, deep in the filth of the other players. He stood above the swamp, but they dragged him right back down into it.
Yeah, this is a massive shot. Honestly, Whizzy's in third place. I never thought I'd be saying that, even after the first round, to be honest. But this is really interesting to watch. I don't know if this just isn't his map. I think he did pretty well on it in the first week, but obviously it's not transitioning to this week.
It really isn't. He's still got the second fastest local record at a 54.802. Jaffa the closest with a 0.998, but Whizzy just struggling to get the consistency on board as he's now leading away and not making any mistakes in that grass transition, but all four still within about 3/4 of a second, so nothing over yet.
It was actually a big mistake earlier from Jaffa, but he still corrected it. He actually did really well to keep pace and make sure it didn't affect his run. And he's now in with a chance of actually passing both Gibbon and Xephyr. So we'll have to see if he's got the pace to catch Chris right at the end here.
Gotta see if he got the pace. Whizzy at the meantime running away with it. Maybe the beast has been poked enough, the bear has been poked enough, and he's angry, and he has awoken. It's it's still a very, very fast time of 55.2. Not though at the level that we expect him to be though. Behind him, Xephyr, Jaffa, and Gibbo in that order. So going into map 3, going into Menace, it's going to be Xephyr Chris with the lead with P1, 69 nice points remaining.
Yep, and it'll be interesting to see how these players, we've said this on all of the matches so far, but it'll be interesting to see how much time people have spent on Menace, how well they know the map after only having 1 week compared to having more, obviously, with the other two. And just to see whether they can deal with the ending on this map, which has been actually a lot trickier than I sort of expected, and maybe others as well.
It's quite tricky, this one. Especially the ending there is, because you're into your left slide. You want to go to the inside. Because your car, your natural car direction is steering to the inside and not letting go of that left steer input. So I think that's just what tantalizes you to go too far to the inside. But you need to stay outside. As in that warm-up round, Gibbo has had quite a shocker. Whizzy in the meantime, quite flawless. It's still warm-up though, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, Jaffa had a bit of a shocker as well. It is always something I find quite interesting. I mean, I know some people are like, well, it's warm-up round, I don't care, but it's interesting to see how people come into a map and whether that affects their confidence if they have a bad warm-up. We'll see if how Jaffa and Gibbon do on this, but for now, that's kind of all we can say is based on the warm-up.
Yeah, based on the warm-up, Jaffa and Gibbo maybe not taking too kind to this map, but it doesn't matter what the warm-up is, it just matters what happens now in the first live round here on Menace. Again, build our new map this week, built by our agent Whiskey. And for the first few checkpoints, nothing of mention. Xephyr just a little bit wide there on that line. It's going to be in fourth, but still within striking distance.
Yep, all within striking distance. No big mistakes. Nothing that you can't recover from at this point. Not necessarily saying that you can be fast enough to catch the people ahead of you, but there are a lot of small mistakes on this. It's interesting there actually. Gibbon took a slightly different line. He didn't drift as much, and he went a lot more inside. It seems to be keeping him quite well at the moment. So we'll see what happens at the end of this map.
We'll see indeed, as Whizzy and Gibbo is having quite a fight there for P1. Gibbo being able to hold off Whizzy for quite a bit now. Whizzy, though, with the more outside line, leaving him with more exit speed going into this last dirt turn. And we've seen the problems that these dirt turn poses for the player. Jaffa outside, all of them actually doing very well. This is such a clean round from everyone. It's just a pure pace difference at this point.
Yeah, that was a very good ending. That was a bit, I'm not going to say surprising, but they all took it so well. No one gained on anybody, and the time itself was quite good as well. I think it was a 1:02.3, which is, as you can see by the local records, it's a fast time.
It is indeed the fastest time that we have had on this server today, on this particular one. But, still a bit off the world records. We're looking at the 101s, where we can really say, okay, this was not just a good time for rounds, but a good time overall. No one there just yet, not even Whizzy, but we still have a few rounds left to play on Menace in this on the second one. It's again a top 3. Whizzy, Jaffa, and Xephyr, but behind Gibbo, and I think there was a slight little bonk from Jaffa.
There was a slight bonk from Jaffa, and Chris got some airtime as well, so he's lost a bit of speed. It'll be interesting to see whether Whizzy still pushes it, or whether he, I'm not going to say safes it, but doesn't push it as hard into this ending. There is enough of a gap between him and Chris that he doesn't really need to risk it. But it is close in second place.
He's close enough that Whizzy has to go risky finish. Let's call it that way. He cannot afford to go safer, and he does indeed go risky fin. Everyone will do, and everyone will be going...
Not quite. Jaffa had to go... He clipped, so he had to go for the safe finish, and he got passed on the line by Gibbon.
You see, I checked if, okay, do I want to spectate Jaffa or do I want to spectate him? I chose Gibbon, and you obviously chose the right one. Jaffa, unfortunate mistake, but Gibbon will take it.
Yep, and now we can see on the points that Whizzy's back up into first place where we would expect him to be. It's still close between himself and Chris, but Jaffa and Gibbon are now sort of a bit lower down in points.
The gap is slowly but surely forming here on Menace. Whizzy unwashed himself and found his previous consistency. 2 rounds played, 2 wins taken by the XLT player. Let's see if he can make it a 3-peat.
And it'll be interesting to know if we do get to speak to him later, or if anyone finds out whether he is taking a little bit... Oh, a mistake from Whizzy. I was going to say if he was taking a little bit off to make sure he didn't make mistakes, but clearly that is not the case.
Clearly not the case. Big mistake from him. He will most definitely finish last if the other 3 can keep it clean. Xephyr touching on the inside. That certainly lost him a lot of speed. Gibbo will probably, I say probably, take this one. Jaffa in P2, Xephyr behind. Yeah, no one bonking the finish. Whizzy, knowing he has no chance, going for the safe one to not mess anything up. Gibbo, strong race from him, 102.7, not bad.
Not bad indeed, but there were a couple of mistakes at the end, one from Jaffa and one from Chris. At the same point, they actually slowed down by about the same amount, so it ended up being a close finish between the 2.
Did end up very close indeed, and we're looking at the leaderboard. It's still very close at the top there between Whizzy and Xephyr, just on account of Xephyr being able to maybe not hit the peaks of Whizzy, but also he doesn't hit the absolute troughs, the absolute lows that Whizzy has.
Very much so. People were saying before that he is the British Marius, and you know you can see a little bit of that so far in this. He's not necessarily been as quick as Whizzy, but he's definitely been more consistent.
Yeah, the Safemeister is being represented on the British Isles as well. What's been represented here now on this final go-around of Menace. It's a very close fight in P1 and P2 between Jaffa and Whizzy, going down to the wire. That grass section now going inside for Jaffa. Whizzy taking a more outside approach, trying to maximize his exit speed, and he does. He's going a bit further away.
And Jaffa's trying to get more speed here to try and catch up to Whizzy. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough though, unless there's a mistake, and there isn't. So Whizzy is first, Jaffa second, and I think Chris passed Gibbon on between the last checkpoint and the line there. Didn't quite see what happened, but it did look like he overtook him right at the end.
Yeah, very, very late overtake from Xephyr indeed on Gibbo. And that's exactly what you need. We've been talking about it on that last analyst segment where we said it's not worth risking it too much if you're finishing, you know, if you wanted to, the one position, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. You know, if you want to finish P3 or P2, it doesn't really matter. Just go for the P3, have the safe finish, as long as you don't finish last. And Gibbo not subscribing to that train of thought, being like, no, I have to push all the time, even though I'm safe in P3. And he lost it all. That's 4 points down the drain for Gibbo, and he's not in a position where he can afford it either.
No, exactly. Maybe it was learnt from nobody earlier about what happens if you push too hard at the end. Maybe that's why Whizzy was a bit clear at the end. It looked like there could have been an overtake from Jaffa, but he went consistent. He didn't try and push it too much, and he managed to keep that second place, which has done him some good, because in terms of himself and Whizzy, and Health and Chris, there's now only 3 points in it, whereas halfway through the last map, it looked like it was going to be very close, or not very close, between the 2.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was going to be that close, but we're now back here on on Topi, the map that Whizzy really dominated the first time when we went here. Let's see if he can maybe have a reprisal of that performance. He set the bar quite high, and with quite high, I mean as good as it could possibly be. 4 wins out of 4 rounds. Whizzy, pressure on you.
Yes, let's see how he handles that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 4 out of 4, or if there are sort of a few mistakes based on what we've seen so far. But going into this first corner, he has more speed and he's out in front. Will there be any mistakes here? There is not. Transitioning onto the dirt, they all seem to be keeping a similar amount of speed. And coming out of that, it's still close between all 4.
No gears have been eaten, no gears have been lost, but Whizzy, oh no, Jaffa! Unfortunately, bouncing there on the outside of the exit. Going to fall back down. The order is going to be in P4 now. To the top 3 we go. Xephyr in a hunting position behind Gibbo, and the man in P1, it's Whizzy.
Yep, and they all have different lines going into that drift. Gibbon was very close to the corner there. He looks like he had a little bit less speed coming out of it. It's close between Chris and Gibbon for second, but Whizzy is out clear in front, so unless there's any mistakes, it should stay as is. Will Gibbon manage to get P2? He will. And that's good from Gibbon. He's been more consistent over the last few rounds and over the last few maps, and getting a second place there is very good.
Yeah, Gibbon, especially as a player currently in P4 when it comes to the points, only losing 3. I think on this map it's safe to say that it would need a big throw from Whizzy to beat him to P1, but that's exactly what he needs. He's dragging down Xephyr closer to him. He's dragging down Jaffa closer to him as well. Obviously, Whizzy doesn't quite care looking from his pedestal in P1. He's got 13 points. He's 13 points in the lead, but even that can be undone within 2 rounds.
Yeah, and it's been a bit of a surprise here for Chris, to be honest, because Chris is a old school, very high level tech player, but he's been making some uncharacteristic mistakes on the tech section here on this map, and you can see it now, him being in P4 with the other 3 all very close up front, and he can't keep losing points like this, as he's gone from being P1 overall to now being into P3 and look to be losing a lot more points.
Yeah, it's Chris really limping to trying to get back to sharp in a map that clearly suited him last time we were here, but he cannot afford to go to the map already in last chance, as we have a big battle for P1 here brewing. Jaffa and Whizzy very, very close together. Indeed, who's got more speed? It's Whizzy, slightly more speed, and he will take it, but Jaffa really bringing the fight to Whizzy for the first time ever here on Topi.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see that people are catching up to Whizzy now, and it'll be interesting to see what happens between Jaffa and Chris. It's very, very close between those 2.
Yeah, very close indeed. Both of them actually tied after 14 rounds that have been played, both with 28 points remaining. Gibbo not completely out of reach of those 2, to be honest. Just 14 points to deficit. That is a very surmountable deficit that Gibbo has. He's not out yet. He's still kicking and he's still fighting.
Yeah, and with the way the points reparations worked and the fact that it's you get a last chance in this, it's definitely not insurmountable for him to come, honestly, anywhere in this match. With how inconsistent Whizzy was on the on Sharpen, it really could be anybody's game here. Really
could be. Whizzy though, he might be inconsistent on Sharpen, but he's not inconsistent on Topi, as he's again building a lead. Everyone else just filing in, no one really battling for position right now. Gibbo is still in a hunting position, trying to see if there are any mistakes up front. He's got a better line than Xephyr, but he slightly bounces across, losing speed on the dirt. It's just going to be a procession to the end. Whizzy making it a 3 out of 4, making it 7 wins straight on Topi. Still, the consistency on this map that the man has is scarily good.
And will he make it 8 for 8? Well, I guess we've got to see. It definitely would not surprise me, but honestly, it feels like the rest are fighting for second place at the moment.
Yeah, it really feels like it, doesn't it? The rest just, wanting to go to P2 because they pretty much know that P1 is unobtainable for them, as Whizzy just has such a grasp on this map. He's just quicker than everyone else, but he's not in P1 right now. He is behind Jaffa, but he does have a signature outside line, so he will be coming back, and there he is, coming with so much speed, overtaking Gibbo, but Jaffa crucially staying in front.
Yeah, beautiful line then, and beautiful amount of speed from Whizzy. He's really pushing this now, and you'd expect to see him push on from second place here and make first his own for the rest of this map. Oh, mistake from Chris. And
Meister.
Safe Meister indeed, yeah. So going into the end here, we've got Whizzy in first, Gibbon in second just behind, and Jaffa in third. Will the positions change? No, it doesn't look like they will. 1, 2, 3 for Whizzy, Gibbon, and Jaffa.
But crucially for Gibbon, he's finished in P2, meaning that he does not go now onto Sharpen as last chance. He will go after the next round, but that doesn't matter. He's bought himself one more round where he just doesn't have any pressure on himself, where he can finish in first, second, third, and just take points away. He's basically given himself one extra mistake that the others now need to take off him. But, of course, Whizzy completely dominant on Topi. 8 from 8 victories.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see in this map whether Whizzy is as consistent as he was last time. Inconsistent, sorry. It would be a very big surprise to me if it stays the same. I would expect him to pick it up this time, as he is an incredibly high-level player. But if he doesn't, then the others will be in with a chance of catching him.
Well, Whizzy was consistent. He was just consistently bad instead of consistently good. It's just
very true.
It's just the negative point, and sometimes that happens as well. But yeah, Whizzy definitely will be looking to make amends for his terrible showing last time around. It sounds quite harsh when I say terrible, but I think I just have higher expectations of Whizzy.
Frankly, he'd say it himself. I'm sure it was not to the level that he or I think any of the rest of us would have expected. He lost the first 2 rounds dead last. I think maybe even the third one.
Yeah.
Sorry, so we're going live now.
Yeah, he did. He did indeed lose, I think, 3 out of the 4 rounds. So that's where he lost the majority of his points. Otherwise, he was looking at probably having 60 plus points. Now he's sitting on 48, so he's still within striking distance. But of course, first map now live. First round now live here. Map 5, Sharpen. Second visit to it on this particular match. No mistakes thus far.
Yep, still really close. You can throw a blanket, as I said before. Overall 4. And Gibbon is still in with a chance until I say that and he makes a mistake.
So much for taking points of others with that extra life. But at least he's not out. He's got that extra life, so we will see him in the next round. But of course, he will not be part to any battles for the lead. That battle is surely in the hands of both Whizzy and Jaffa. Very close together indeed, within a 10th.
Yeah, Jaffa came out of that last turn with more speed. Will he manage to keep that to the risky finish? Yes, he will. But a much...
Oh, no, Xephyr!
Oh, big mistake from Xephyr. And he goes for the safe finish, but it's far, far too late.
Oh no, he won't. Will he finish?
Yeah, he'll still finish. He'll still finish.
Oh!
He'll still finish. He's just about
1 second, because that would have been last chance for him as well.
It would. That's incredible.
That would have been last chance. He was within. That was less than a second that he had to finish. Xephyr, Jesus, that was close, and he already had a nightmare at the start, already bonking somewhere 3/10 behind, just within 10 seconds of driving.
Yeah, and Gibbon's also now bonked, and it's really Whizzy and Jaffa are just far out in front. And Gibbon really now being on last chance, will he be able to catch up to Chris? He has so much time to gain. He really, really needs a mistake from someone further up front here, and let's see if that'll happen.
Let's see if it will happen. The map is still long, still half of the map left to be played. Xephyr also in a hunting position, but of course it is Whizzy that needs, is Gibbo that needs someone to mess up quite badly. Someone else failing the risky finish is probably the most likely outcome here on this map on Sharpen. By Mime going into the last corner. It's again Jaffa versus Whizzy. Jaffa giving more speed, but I don't think he has enough to overtake Whizzy. No, Whizzy will take it. Everyone making it through the risky finish as well, and with that, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Gibbo.
Yes, but he did give a very good account of himself. This is an absolutely stacked lobby, and he's done very well. I mean, he was within 2 points of Chris at the end, which is, frankly, a fantastic display from him. So, well done to Gibbo. We move on to 3 remaining.
GG to Gibbo, and we do move on to 3 remaining, but Xephyr, Chris, already on last chance mode himself. 15 points the deficit between him and Jaffa. 44 points the deficit between himself and Whizzy, who has found his consistency that he was lacking the first time around on Sharpen.
Yep, and it's very close up front between those two. Jaffa's still within striking distance of Chris. He needs to make sure he stays ahead of Jaffa, if nothing else. Otherwise, we could be looking at goodbye for Chris. Will he keep it going into the last section of the map? It looks to be good so far. Jaffa still, as I said, within striking distance, moving off onto this plastic. Let's see what happens.
See what happens. Indeed, no, Jaffa bonked. That's surely it for Chris. He will be safe as Jaffa in hot pursuit. Just getting a little bit out of shape there on the plastic. Whizzy also barely making the risky finish, but making the risky finish is all that matters. Xephyr in P2 and Jaffa going for the safe finish there in P3. But that's a big points tally that Jaffa just lost to Xephyr. He needs to do it once more, though, does Xephyr?
Yeah, if Xephyr doesn't come last, Jaffa needs to come first in order to not be in last chance. So it's really important for him now to win this round and to put some pressure on both Whizzy and Chris.
He really does need to win this round. This is going to be probably one of the most important rounds for Xephyr in this entire competition, as he can really cost his opponents major points, at least 6 if he finishes in P1. But Whizzy is in hot pursuit of Chris. Jaffa trailing behind, and no, Chris actually bonked on the outside there.
It's quite a bad bonk as well. It's at least half a second, and he lost quite a bit of speed. Jaffa got really close to the wall there, but Chris has made another massive mistake, and that's probably goodbye to him.
That is probably goodbye to the English safe meister, just forgetting where the track was going to go. I mean, there's still potential of a risky finish muck-up by either Whizzy or Jaffa, but I don't think either of them will fail it, and neither of them do. Strong time by Whizzy, 54.9, and as we head into Menace for the next round, again, goodbye Xephyr in P3, but hello Jaffa to the last chances.
Yep, and now we are moving onto a new map, I believe, yes, and it'll be interesting to see on Menace how he can do against the onslaught of Whizzy.
Whizzy does provide some onslaught, but crucially, he wasn't. I think he was the quickest on raw pace, or the first time around here on Menace, but he wasn't necessarily the most consistent of it. I think Jaffa might have his number on Menace, especially in terms of consistency, but he needs to be doing it right here. We will not see a return to Topi. Mathematically, we will not. Oh, will we? Oh no, we will if we go double finalists.
Yes.
Oh, we would if we go double finalists. So, Jaffa's chances of winning have just dramatically taken a turn for the worse.
Would be exciting to see though if we got to that map. I wonder how much pressure that would put on Whizzy. Jaffa would know he's the underdog, and because Whizzy would have to have lost 4 rounds in a row. You can imagine what that would do to your mental, and then on your best map, that would be super exciting to see. I'm all for it.
Honestly, inject all the hopium into my veins, please. Inject it all straight into my veins. I want to see the shootout on Topi, but I think more likely we're going to see a result here on Menace by, of course, our news mapper. Just keep mentioning his name, Agent Whiskey. And as I see the man in chat himself.
Yeah, I think he needs to pray to Blue Barry here, Jaffa, to have any sort of chance of something like that happening. But now we get along into the first round of Menace on the second time around. Whizzy needs to win a single round, and Jaffa needs to win 5 in a row. Let's see how it goes. It's pretty even at the start here.
Pretty even between the Scotsman Jaffa and the Englishman, but there's a big mistake. Jaffa. Oh no, let's see how bad it really is. That deficit is so massive. 4 seconds. Whizzy, I don't know if he's aware of it, if he's got a HUD enabled or disabled. I'm not so sure, but he's still driving, is Whizzy. He's still driving very normal. He doesn't safe it doesn't seem like it, so maybe a mistake still to come.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do in a competitive map. I think if you try and safe it on places you've not safed it before, that can be as much a detriment as anything else. There's a small mistake there from Whizzy, but I don't think it'll be enough coming into the final corner here.
Nah, surely he will just go for the safe, and he does. He has recognized, he has seen the splits, and Whizzy will win it. First time of asking. 103-2 safe to the end. GG to Whizzy for that excellent performance. P1, 32 points in the end in front of his competitors, but also, of course, GG to all four of them. Gibbo, Chris, and Jeffer. They all gave Whizzy a proper run for his money.
Yes, they did. There was a bit of a scare there, especially after the second map for Whizzy when he was coming out in third place. I think that gave him the little bit of a kick he sort of needed, though. And then coming back onto Topi, he just looked dominant from then on, to be honest.
Yeah, Whizzy on Topi is a bit unfair, not gonna lie. Please nerf. Please nerf in the next update. But yeah, that was pretty much... That was what is needed, though. He built his confidence back when the first time around on Menace, and then once he got back to Topi, he was in the flow of things. He was properly back in it, and yeah, Whizzy just too strong in the end, finishing a second week in a row on 4 points. But I think that is it from us too. We will have a short break and then get back to you with the analyst desk, get back to you with Amaterasu and Leo. And of course, hopefully get an interview with the man himself, with Whizzy. So don't grab anything, actually. Stay here, watch. We'll be right back with you.
Welcome back to the BIPL. We've just finished our last match here in Div 1, and I am here with the analysts. Sorry. Hi again to Amaterasu and Leo.
Hello.
And I just want to ask what you thought of that last match then.
Was fun to watch, actually. Whizzy looked strong from the get-go, had a little bit of an incident on the second map. Other than that, he looked very dominant and like I expected him to do, honestly.
Yeah, I echo that completely. I really enjoyed sort of watching Whizzy's roller coaster ride towards the start of the match, winning 4 in a row and then losing 3 after that. He kind of stabilized afterwards, and then there was quite a close fight in the rest of the pack as well. So good game overall.
Yes, very much so. I very much enjoyed all round, I think. And in fact, we have the man himself here. Whizzy, congratulations. Very good performance overall. How did you find that?
Thank you, yeah. I don't know, I think in terms of my performance in general, it was shaky because I think controversy, Topi is one of my favourite maps. So I'm happy about that, but my god, that second map in the first rotation was horrendous. I was in shambles, to be honest. So
how were you feeling during that? Because I mean, after Topi went so well, winning 4 in a row, then starting off the way that you did on that map, did it sort of affect you mentally? Would you say throughout that? And how did you deal with that?
I think it was difficult not to. I think I just tried to keep my cool, keep reminding me I've got the crashes out of the way. It's all good. I have the pace to win ultimately, and just try to keep it a positive mindset. Really, that's all you can do, I find.
Yeah, and you did pull it together, definitely after that. You came back, especially when we went back to Topi, which I think is clear to everybody. It's one of your favourite maps. So how are you feeling about the rest of the competition now? You've had 2 wins in 2 weeks. Are you looking forward to next week? And how do you think it's going to go?
For sure, yeah. I think at the moment, no complaints really. 2 weeks, as you said, 2 weeks, 2 wins. So. Yeah, that's going well. I think the matches coming up are looking quite difficult, but that makes it even more enjoyable, really. So it should be good fun, really.
Yes, definitely. It'll be good fun. It'll be good fun to watch for us at home as well. Do Amaterasu or Leo, do you have any questions for Whizzy?
Go ahead. I have a quick one. Yeah. So I noticed you have good times on all the tracks, and besides an incident on Mime's map, the first rotation, as you mentioned, you're very consistent as well. I'm just wondering, when you practice the maps, what's your strategy? Are you going for the best times? Are you going for consistent lines, or a bit of both?
I think usually it's a bit of both. Ultimately, I find I'm a bit like, say, Massa, where I'm quite comfortable with my full scent line. So if I ended up releasing or if I end up breaking too much for a corner, I'll just lose the flow and the run soon dies. That's how kind of I play. So when I practice, I usually just put on some music and try to not full send, but push it a little bit, because otherwise I'm not going to learn where the limits of the car is. So
sure, and well, it's clearly working.
Very much so. Amma, did you have a quick question?
I just wanted to ask him about one line on Topi, because he goes, the one right drift before the grass left, you go so wide, but it looks like you practiced that line, and it ultimately pays off. Did you come up with it yourself, or? Yeah,
well, to my knowledge, I did. I'm not entirely sure, but I haven't seen anyone else do it for the matches I've played. But I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, because it makes a bit more sense for me, because you end up with so much more speed and the grass flows a bit more, so you don't end up crashing into the checkpoint. You just flow straight past it. So I think it was just what I got used to also. So.
No. It clearly looks faster, but you're the only one who does it, so I was just curious.
Okay, well that's great. Thank you very much for the insights, and thanks for the interview. I'd say best of luck for the rest of the competition, and if you keep driving like that, the sky's the limit.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. We're just bringing up the table here, so you can see the standings now at the end of Div 1 on week 2. You can see throughout. Is there any surprises now that we've got the final table here, would you say? Amma or Leo?
Chris kind of disappointing a bit, I feel like. I expected him a bit higher. Also, I gotta say, from last match, Jaffa's pace looks really good. So he can for sure do damage at the top as well. And obviously we have nobody at the bottom there, which no one really expected. But I guess he will bounce back.
Yeah, we hope so. It'd be good to see. But I think from us here at the both from the caster's desk and the analyst desk, I think we're going to start wrapping up now for the week. It was a great series of games, and I can't wait until next week to see some more from both Div 1 and Div 2. I think we are coming up now to a video that we have to show you. So we will move on to that in a second. But from myself, at least, thank you all very much for watching, and from Max as well, and from Amma and Leo. I'll let you say goodbye as well.
Yeah, thanks for staying with us until the end. And looking forward to 3 more weeks of British and Irish racing action.
Thanks for having me, guys. Fun as usual.
Thank you very much. Well, I hope you guys get to have a good look at the video from a very close perspective. So yeah, hello again and welcome, I guess.
That sky looked really nice on the map, gotta say.
But, thanks all for sticking with us. We're actually going to the video this time. I've been promised, so if there are any issues, we can point and laugh.